Welcome to RWA on XDC, where we teach you about the intersection of real-world assets and blockchain technology. Today's episode is about digital gold, Comtech's RWA, with special guest, Naveen. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you, Joshua. Thank you for having me here.
All right, so give us a quick introduction of Comtech Gold and how you guys are bringing physical gold to the XDC network.
So my name is Naveen D'Souza. I'm the CEO for Comtech Gold. So basically what we are trying to do is try to bring in a traditional investment asset, which is gold, and use the latest blockchain technology to make investment in gold easy, accessible, and fungible. So what we're doing is, if you see historically, people have been investing in gold right from ages kind of thing. And even though gold has been one of the oldest investment assets, the way people invest in gold is more or less traditionally the same. That's involving physical asset. So what we have tried to do is we have tried to tokenize the digital gold, because to have an access or an investment in gold, you actually don't need to have the physical gold. Because physical gold has its own issue about safety, security, storage, cost, and the others. So what we have done is we have kept the infrastructure of physical gold with a professional entity. We use the blockchain technology to tokenize the physical gold and allow people to invest in gold using tokenized assets. So we have the gold deposited into the vault, secured, insured, and against every 1 kilo of gold, we create or mint 1,000 tokens. And these tokens are then available to investors on blockchain, where they can buy, sell, trade, transact on these tokens.
Now, let me stop you there. For the 1,000 tokens that represents a kilo of gold, does the supply increase or decrease as you guys have gold in reserves? As your reserves increase or decrease, do the amount of tokens in supply increase and decrease?
Yes, 100%. So what happens is important from a tokenization of any real world asset is the proof of reserve. So in our case, our proof of reserve is actual physical gold, which is held in 1 kilobars, 99.99% purity. We only accept London Good Delivery bars or UAE Good Delivery bars with bar certificates. So at any point in time, the total amount of tokens onto supply is always equal to the amount of gold under the physical understanding. So the physical reserve is always 100% matched. So whenever there is a new minting of tokens, you already have those physical lying into the vault. Similarly, if there is a reduction in the physical, you have equivalent of tokens burnt on the network.
How would you guys go about increasing your amount of physical gold in vaults on the back end?
So what we have done is basically to buy a Comtech Gold tokens, you have two options. One is you can buy it on any of the listed exchanges. So we're listed on 3 exchanges. We are listed on LBank, we're listed on Bitmart, we're listed on Byte2. Any investor who wants an access to Comtech Gold can go to these exchanges, buy it from the platform, and have it in their wallet. The second element of it is the actual minting or the conversion of physical gold into tokens, wherein if an investor who has physical gold and want to tokenize it, they can deposit the physical gold into the approved vaults. Once it is deposited into the approved vault, we have a partnership with DMCC, which is a government of Dubai entity. So they endorse the gold deposit, and against every 1 kilogram of tokens, we mint 1,000 tokens, wherein 1 token represents 1 gram of gold. So for every 1 kilo token, we have 1,000 tokens minted. So this is where the supply increases. So we started a year and a half back. And if you see,
let me stop you there.
Yeah.
When it comes to increasing the physical gold reserves, is it more individuals, wealthy individuals? Is it institutions? What do you guys look for when it comes to increasing your reserves?
So what we look at from an increasing reserves is basically the demand in the market. So we have institutions who have holding physical gold and now want to tokenize it. So we have institutions who come forward to us saying that we have been investing in gold over years. We have been storing it into the vault. However, we do not have the infrastructure and the knowledge about holding physical gold. So why don't
Yep.
we just tokenize it and hold tokens against it? So these are the institutions who
Okay.
come to us, deposit gold, and we tokenize it.
Would it be banks as well?
So there have been some banks who are into discussion. So we are still to onboard a particular bank on tokenization. But these are financial
Okay.
institutions who hold their wealth in gold and now want to tokenize it and hold it in the blockchain.
Now, when you look at an institution wanting to tokenize their gold, is it more for getting the equity out of it, or is it to give the ability of end users access?
So the idea about the whole tokenization. So basically, if you see from a blockchain perspective, blockchain came into existence in 2009. Okay, the idea
Okay.
about blockchain was to solve real life issues. So this is where the tokenization of real world assets come into picture, because that is actually the mass adoption. If you're not able to bring blockchain into real world, then the
Yep.
technology is of no use. So with the gold
Right.
tokenization, it allows you to have the access to a physical gold. However, it
Okay.
allows you the fungibility to hold it in your wallet. It allows you the fungibility of fractionalizing it. So let's take an example. You hold a kilogram of gold. Now you want to sell 200 grams out of it. It is
Yep.
extremely difficult because you cannot chop the gold bar and sell only a portion of it. So you are completely locked till
Right.
the time you want to sell 1 kilogram of gold. But with that tokenization, what happens is it's divided into 1,000 units, which can be easily sold off at any point in time in any fractions. Even if you want to transfer it to somebody, you can transfer, let's say, 100 tokens, you wanted to gift it to somebody, or you want to make a
Right.
payment using gold. You can do that using the tokenized gold.
That's a cool thing, because I think about my dad has been collecting gold and silver for the last 20 years. And when it comes to his reserves, he just has the physical bars to where you can't do anything when it comes to spending or breaking it down, giving it between the grandchildren, different things like that, where if it was tokenized, you could give each one of your grandchildren 1 or 2, 5, 10 of these tokens that represent a part of that gold bar. So I think that's really unique as well. Now, before I cut you off last time, you said you guys have been around for a year or two?
Yep. So we've been almost a year and a half now. So this is where we
Okay.
started on. We started on with zero reserves. And in a year and a half, we have now moved on to 144,000 tokens, represented by
Okay.
144 kgs of gold. And these are held across different individual rights, from retailers to wholesalers to financial institutions. And we are seeing a lot of demand over the last 6 months, where gold is actually moving, because gold has been a reserve asset for majority of them, including central bank. And you'd be surprised to know the amount of gold into the market. So if you look at it from a gold perspective, the overall gold currently is close to $14 trillion. So there are very few people who actually
Okay.
know the amount of gold into the market. And if you see, the major investors in gold are the central banks.
Yep. When you look at central banks getting into digital gold and fractionalizing gold, is that something you could see in the future, partnering with central banks from around the world?
Yes, we can. So basically, what we have worked in last a year and a half is more about building the whole infrastructure across tokenization. So we have the platform ready where this can be added on to any platform, integrated with any platform. So let's say a bank who's not a bullion bank wants to launch digital gold for its customers. This is where we can come into picture, where you can just plug into a backend infrastructure. We have the storage facility, we have the liquidity, we have the access, we have the pricing, and we have the technology. So you can just plug into our infrastructure and launching your own gold product. So this becomes a complete white labeling solution where we specialize on the physical infrastructure, and the bank or any other financial institution can specialize on the distribution infrastructure.
Is that based on like an API or a SDK that they would
Yes,
plug
we have a
into?
complete API deck, which is very simple, straightforward, easy to connect, and you can just get started.
Now, another thing I noticed when I was looking more into the latest news on digital gold, and I seen JP Morgan is looking to fractionalize their reserves. So that it is something that's definitely coming within the next 5 to 10 years to where the average user would be able to have fractionalized gold within their bank accounts as well, whether it's a additional account that you would have within your banking app, but it's definitely something that's coming. When you think about JP Morgan fractionalizing their reserves, would they use a service like Comtech, or would they do that on their own and try to build out their own infrastructure?
So it is no use reinventing the wheel kind of thing. So it depends on different banking or entities what they want to do about it kind of thing. Some might spend
Okay.
6 months to a year building the whole infrastructure, or some might just piggy bank on our infrastructure and get it started live. So what we help financial institutions and bank is quick to market, because if you're not in the right time and the right place, then even though you
You
might
could
have a
miss
good
the whole
product,
opportunity.
yes, even though you might have a good product, but it might not be a right product for the time. So this is where we
Yeah.
come into picture, where we say that we have the infrastructure ready. If you have something that you want to offer, we can connect, collaborate, and put it out for you. So we have done some similar
Now,
projects. So we have a
okay.
project in Switzerland who's tokenizing gold. So this is an exchange called Globians where they want to launch their own gold tokens. We have an
Okay.
entity in Thailand who is launching their own digital gold. And we have a couple of entities in UAE who are wanting to launch a digital gold for their customers.
Okay. Now, would their tokens be something different than the CGO that you guys provide?
Yes. So what they do is the only difference is how the reserves are maintained, because many of these entities do not specialize in the physical infrastructure. So what they
Yeah.
have done is they have a white labeling solution with us, where they connect to our infrastructure, and instead of holding physical gold, they hold Comtech Gold as their reserve. So their
Oh,
reserve
okay.
of gold is made from Comtech Gold reserves, which gives them access to physical gold whenever they want. So they back up their tokens with Comtech Gold, and we become a central
Okay.
custodian and a central party for all these entities.
Right. That's cool. So they would have their own gold represented token, but it would be backed by Comtech Gold tokens.
Yes, you're right.
Okay. That sounds really unique. Now, if it were, say, JP Morgan wanted to partner up with Comtech or use the infrastructure, what would that look like from a bank wanting to integrate with Comtech? Would they create their own token that would be backed by the CGO? Is that the easiest way you could see it coming to the market fast?
Yes, that would be the easiest way, because from a regulatory perspective also, JP Morgan would not want to have their clients provided to Comtech. So when they do a
Okay.
white labeling solution, they hold reserves of Comtech Gold as part of their backing reserve for their own token. So this
Yeah.
indirectly means their clients are their customers holding JP Morgan Gold. But that
Right.
gold is backed by Comtech Gold. For us, it's only JP Morgan as a customer. We don't go to their end clients.
Right. So it's basically you guys have the ability to white label the solution to where anybody could use it at the end of the day.
Yeah, because see, important in a physical world asset is the regulatory element. So each jurisdiction has their own regulation. So if an
Yep.
entity who has a required license in the respective regulation and the required distribution available in their required jurisdiction, they only need an infrastructure to start their project. This is where we come into picture. So we cannot
Okay.
have a regulatory approval in all jurisdictions. So this is where the white labeling customer gets the required regulatory approval and connects their backend infrastructure with us.
Okay. Now, when it comes to an end user, what would be some of the benefits of using fractionalized digital gold?
So if we go back to a retail user, if you see from an access perspective, how does he buy gold now? The only option
Right.
available for him is to go to a gold market and buy a physical coin or a bar or jewelry. So in all
Yeah.
these elements, the important thing is he has to go into the physical gold only because there is no choice of a digital one. Secondly,
Okay.
there is an increased cost because globally the price in the gold market is normally around 2 to 3% premium than the actual international price. This is because they don't change their price quite often during the day. So this is the hedge
Okay.
that they require. So they keep a buffer around 2 to 3%. Apart from that, whenever you buy a physical gold coin or a bar, you end up paying 4 to 5% as making charge, which is the
Okay.
cost for getting the physical element. So you end up spending 7 to 8% extra just to enter into the gold. Once you get the physical gold, you have issues with storage, fractionalization, security, and fungibility. If you're going out on a shopping or if you're going out on a holiday, you cannot take the gold around with you. So this is
Right.
where the tokenized gold come into picture. So it not only gives you the benefit of cost, wherein you save around 5 to 7%, it makes
Yep.
it completely fungible. You can have gold in your wallet. You can roam globally with the gold in your wallet without having to worry about safety, security, fungibility, fractionalization. So this is the benefit of tokenized gold.
When you think of an end user, say they had $5,000 in digital gold that is fractionalized using Comtech, is there any way for them to spend the gold at this point?
So what we're doing is currently they can spend it because being fractional, they can sell it at any point in time, have the money into their account, which can be used for spending. We are also in the
Okay.
process of working on a debit card, which will be linked to your gold balance. So this will
Oh,
not
that's
only
sweet.
allow you to have the gold in your wallet, but also give you a flexibility to spend the gold at your convenience. So we are looking at integrating it with the leading providers like MasterCard and Visa, where it could be a global card linked to a bank account and linked to a gold account. And you can use
Yep.
it, swipe, and buy a coffee with your gold.
That would be cool. And that would be based on your CGO holdings?
Yes. So it will be completely based on your
Okay.
gold holding, and you have an equivalent limit of your gold balance in your wallet.
Now, when moving in between users, peer to peer, is there a limit on the amount of CGO you can send and receive?
There's no limit on that because it's on a blockchain network. It's an open infrastructure. So it is as good as transferring any other tokens between the users.
Now, because what I'm trying to get at is how many zeros can you go when it comes to a CGO token versus the physical gold that you wouldn't have been able to break down?
So from a technology perspective, we can go as low as 18 zeros, which
Wow.
is quite low. But from a, what you
Right.
call that, logistic perspective or from a financial perspective, you can go as low as 0.01, which is talking about $6.
Okay. Because if you were looking at buying a coffee and you wanted to send the vendor CGO tokens that represent gold, what would be the transfer versus the value you're sending? That's what I'm trying to get at is what's the minimum value you would be able to send a vendor if you were looking to get a coffee? Would you
The
be
minimum
able to do
value,
250 or does it have to be the 0.01?
it can be 0.0000001 up to 18 decimals.
Okay, that's what I was getting at. So, in theory, if something costs 20 cents, you would be able to break down the CGO physical gold representation on the blockchain down to that 20-cent marker, which you couldn't have done with physical gold.
Absolutely correct.
Okay, that's really cool. Now, you guys also have a partnership with the XDC Network.
Yes.
How did that come about, and what are the benefits of using the XDC Network versus a variety of other chains that are available?
So when we were trying to look at from a network perspective, we did a research as to figuring out what are the various networks available, what are the benefits of it, kind of thing. Here we are talking about gold, we are talking about traditional asset. And there are certain important things which are very important from a traditional asset. One is safety, security, speed, and cost. So when we
Okay.
did the research across various assets, we saw XDC fitting or topping in all these aspects, kind of thing. So first of all, it's one of the most decentralized network that I've seen, where even the nodes are held and distributed across various people. So there is no concentration across a single group or entities, kind of thing. Secondly,
Right.
it's a proof of stake concept. Now, when it comes to security, I have not seen a downtime from the time it's been started. So that gives me enough stability and security to ensure that I can keep my product on that. If you talk
Right.
about speed, an average transaction time for a transaction on XTC is less than 2 seconds, and they are doing around 2000 TPS per TPS, which, if you compare it with other major chain, is around 10 to 15. And then
Right.
comes the most important thing, because we are talking about a traditional asset with a very less volatility. It's one of the most stable assets is the element of cost. So if I run a transaction on any other network, my costing per transaction on the chain would be somewhere between $5 to $15. However, in case of an XDC, it is 0.00001, which is negligible as close to zero. It's one of the
Yep.
most network which is more sustainable, and it consumes very less energy as compared to other chains. So this is where we also do our bet from a global perspective.
When you think about the global perspective, what regions around the world does Comtech offer services to?
So currently we are based in the UAE from a gold-based perspective, but since we are listed on the exchanges, people can buy and sell gold from us from any jurisdiction. It's our international exchanges where everybody's got an access to. And with regards to white labeling solution, as I told you, we have done an infrastructure out in Switzerland, we have done in Thailand, we have a couple of them in the UAE. The next market that we're looking at is to go to Saudi Arabia, which is one of the major in the Middle East. However,
Okay.
from an infrastructure perspective, we are a global entity. We can cater to services anywhere across the globe.
Now, have you guys looked at anything in North America, whether Canada, US, anything there or not?
So we have looked upon, because we have a lot of mining companies who approach us wherein they're looking at
Okay.
tokenizing the gold reserves. So we have been working out, because we also provide a complete gold tokenization solution. And we have received interest from a couple of them from America, North America, and Canada, to be precise. Also, a lot of requests coming from the African region, where people want to move away from dollar to something which is a real world transaction. They have been
Right.
abundant in gold. However, because of their dependencies on dollar, for them having a transaction gets difficult. So with the tokenization approach, people can technically use gold as a currency for making payments for distribution and the others.
Now, when it comes to the regulation aspect, is there a specific entity you guys have to check in and send your paperwork in, whether it's monthly, quarterly? How does that work?
So we are based in UAE. So we are regulated for virtual assets in Dubai under VARA, which is Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority. So VARA is
Okay.
coming to existing a year back, where they have put in the regulations from the perspective of tokenization and the others. So we have already applied to
Okay.
VARA, and since we have into operations before the VARA regulations came in, so our application is part of their verification and viewing process. So we're already into that process, which allows us to operate till the time VARA comes back to us with their final decision. So we are regulated under VARA in Dubai. And from a federal side, we are regulated by ESCA. We have a gold trading license with the Dubai Economic Department, which allows us to buy and sell gold, hold gold for our customers. So these are the various licenses that we operate under.
Okay. Now, when it comes to reserves, how would an end user or an entity check on your available reserves at any moment?
So we are very transparent from a reserve perspective. We publish our reserves on our website, and that report is not biased. The report is with through DMCC and the vault. So DMCC is a government of
Okay.
Dubai entity. We use only international vaults like TransGuard and Brinks. So on their letterhead, you have the reserves published by them. Secondly, we also allow people, if they want to come and visit the vault, we can allow them to go and visit the vault. So this
Wow.
makes them comfortable that the reserves already exist. So we don't do it
Right.
as a walk-in this thing, because we don't want us to be looking at as a tourism company where people can go and see gold. But if somebody wants to actually see the reserve, they are open to come and see it.
When you think about the reserves, how often does that paperwork get updated? Is it quarterly?
So we have reports on a quarterly basis, and also as and when there is any change in the reserves into the vault itself. So what we
Okay.
have done is, not only from an audit perspective, we have tried to what you call it, capture it right in the bud itself. So the whole
Right.
minting and burning process is under the governance framework. So the gold goes into the vault. A trade flow warrant is created on that, which is a legal tender document on the gold itself, which is endorsed by DMCC. In parallel, we create a minting request against that particular gold, wherein we mention the warrant number, we mention the gold number. This also goes to DMCC for approval. So they do a multi-sig
Okay.
minting, which ensures that independently Comtech cannot mint any tokens. Similarly, when it's from a withdrawal perspective, if we go to the vault and say that we want to withdraw the gold, that request has to be approved by DMCC, because the vault says
Okay.
go and cancel the warrant, go to DMCC and get it approved. When you go to DMCC, DMCC comes and says, okay, you're asking for a cancellation of the warrant. Where is the burning request? This is where Comtech goes in for burning of 1,000 tokens with the specific gold number, with the specific warrant number. That is matched by DMCC. They endorse the two, and only then we are allowed to withdraw the gold. So independently,
Okay.
Comtech cannot mint tokens. Comtech cannot withdraw the gold.
So the reserves, the audits on the reserves are updated anytime there's any change.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Now, when an end user wants to acquire digital gold, is there any specific way you guys suggest they should hold it? Would any cryptocurrency wallet work? Do you suggest cold storage, physical devices? How does that work? Is there any specifics you guys would like to let the end users know how to store their Comtech Gold?
So we are integrated with majority of the wallets globally. We are also integrated with all
Okay.
the exchanges where we trade. But from a safety and security perspective, because when we talk about gold, it's about investment, it's not about trading. So
Right.
what we suggest people is to, whenever they hold gold, they should always hold it in a cold wallet. They
Okay.
should not hold it in an exchange or hold it in an online wallet, rather than hold it in a cold wallet. A cold wallet is similar
Okay.
to buying gold and keeping it in a locker. So this is
Right.
gives it a similar facility and the security to hold it in a cold wallet, wherein whenever you want to transact or trade, you just connect it to the exchange platform, use it for doing a transaction, and again move it back. So that's one of the general safety security features that we advise the people who ask this question, that they should always hold their assets into a cold wallet.
So at the end of the day, if you're an end user looking to hold digital gold, cold storage is the way to go.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Now, when it comes to redeemability, is there a way for end users to redeem their CGO for physical bars?
Yeah, since these bars are held in 1 kilogram, anybody who's holding 1,000 tokens can request for burning of their tokens, and we will have them 1 kilobar delivered to them in UAE. This
Okay.
not only operates as a redemption element, but it also operates as a arbitrage or a hedge, which ensures that the price of Comtech Gold is always equal to the price of physical gold. Because
Okay.
if my price is going to be expensive or higher than the market, you can just deposit 1 kilogram of gold into the vault, have it tokenized, and sell it. Similarly, if my price is cheaper, you can buy Comtech Gold onto the platform, withdraw 1 kilo gold bar from the vault and have it sell it in the international market. So this ensures that the price is always in line with the international market. So this is where we are different than other providers, where we use independent bodies to have it stored. We use world-class, most liquid form of gold, which is 1 kilo bar, so that it becomes very more transparent, very more fungible, and very more liquid.
Now, when you think of a kilogram of gold, what's the average price for that right now?
So the pricing is currently close to around $69,000. So that's the price of gold. So when we started, it was somewhere around $59,000. Now it's moved to $69,000. So if you see in a year and a half, even one of the most safe asset is giving you an upside of 20%.
Right. It's pretty wild when you think about the inflation and how that's all playing out right now.
Right.
I was trying to understand the price levels you would need to reach to be able to redeem the physical gold. So you're saying you would need around $69,000 worth of CGO to get a physical bar.
Yeah, but at the same time, see, if you wanted access to the physical gold is available globally. Nothing stops you from just selling your tokens, having the money and picking it up from physical gold. In UAE specifically, we have done some arrangements with our liquidity providers. So we have done tie-ups with a jewelry group out here, wherein people with smaller denominations can redeem it directly at the jewelry show. So they can buy any physical gold into the jewelry store and pay them using their Comtech Gold tokens.
Yeah, that's really unique. Now, how many partners do you have on that aspect to where you could fractionalize it lower for redemption?
So we are tied up with one of the leading one in the UAE, which is called Kalyan Jewelers. They have got 19 stores out in the UAE. And this is just a pilot phase. Once this gets completed going live, we will be onboarding almost all the jewelers out over here.
That's really cool. Now, are there any specific partnerships you would like to mention?
So there's no specific partnerships that we are trying to look at here because as I think over the interview we went about various partnerships that were done, but more specifically we are the Sharia compliant gold out here. We are the first one in the region to be Sharia compliant. One of the important elements in Sharia compliant is it's not only from an Islamic investment perspective but also to be Sharia compliant. You need your reserves not only to be backed by gold, but it has to be segregated, identifiable, and allocated. So we cannot go and say that there is some gold reserve sitting in a mine. It has to be segregated and identifiable. So we are unique in that aspect. We have a partnership with DMCC, which is the government of Dubai. We have vaulting arrangements with Brinks and Transguard. They are the international vault operators. And we have banking relationship out in the UAE, which ensures that customer money is protected.
Okay, great. Now, when you look at the future of digital gold, what do you see for the next 5 to 10 years when it comes to this type of technology?
So technology, fractionalization of gold or tokenization of gold is just a tip of the iceberg, I would say that, because this is just the beginning. So it is, if you look back, when earlier days, when shares and securities used to be traded in paper form, it had its own nuances, right from transferability, genuineness, moving it across, the quality and the other things kind of thing. But the moment you have dematerialized securities, this is where it has actually come back to the economy. This is where what we are looking to do it with gold is dematerialize it or tokenize it and bring it back to the economy. Because once it's in a tokenized form, it's an electronic form, you can do a lot of things with it, right? From lending. You can have the underlying physical gold through the tokens lend to physical bullion banks and earn a yield out of it. It can be used for collateralization because you can now go to a banking institution and say that this is the gold I hold. I need to borrow money against it. From a bank perspective, they don't have to be bullion banks because they hold it in a digital form. They know that it's backed by pure gold and that can be liquidated at any point in time. This becomes much easier for them to finance on gold itself. Third, trade finance. Currently, many of the institutions have issues or concerns with getting LCs with the bank. Even though they have their money, it becomes very difficult for have it to be communicated between the buyer and the seller, where gold tokens now becomes a collateral which can be used for trade finance transaction. Fourth, using as an alternative mode of payment. So we are going back to the old gold standard days where gold used to be used as a mode of payment. So specifically, when you talk about the African region, where we said that people have difficult accessing dollars. And with the way the devaluation in dollars are going through, people don't want to hold their money in dollars. So they want to hold their money in something which is an actual asset. And what better substituting it by gold? And being in a digital form, this allows it easy to be used as a mode of payment where you're actually transferring wealth, not only paper. So this is what is the roadmap for gold.
Do you feel like the conversion rates are smaller when you're working with gold as well versus dollar to yen?
Yeah, the conversion is because it's much more fungible and feasible for people to move it across. And you don't have to liquidate it because gold is a currency which is a world-class currency. It's a currency which is accepted globally. So even if you talk about yen and the other currency, they are accepted in particular jurisdiction. But gold is a currency which gets accepted globally anywhere. So the conversion of gold is much more easier than any other currencies.
Now, are you guys looking into any other types of physical metals?
So this is just a
Platinum.
beginning. So this is just a beginning. We have already tokenized the silver for one of the entity.
Okay.
But that's still not gone into a public production. So we have already tokenized 1.5 tons of silver, which is held under custody.
Okay.
And we can have the infrastructure which can enable it to any asset or metal class that we look at. So to do a tokenization of any metal class or real world asset, one of the most important element is regulations. And second is the liquidity of the underlying asset. Because when we talk about tokenization of real estate, it's fine. You can distribute, you can fractionalize it. But when somebody wants to sell it back, you should have enough liquidity into the market to allow it to buy back. So this is where gold forms unique because gold at any point in time, you can buy. It's
always liquid.
Yes.
Yep. Now, when you speak about the silver aspect, when do you see that going public? 6 months or a year down the road?
So we are looking at from a year down the road, more predominantly from the logistic element because metals like silver and the others have a cost to store. In case of gold, we do not charge our customers anything for holding gold with us. But when you talk about silver and any other metal, there is a good element of storage cost because 1 million worth of dollars can fetch me 15 kgs of gold, but 1 million worth of dollars can fetch me 1,500 kgs of silver. So the storage space required for silver is quite high. So once we are able to work that mechanism where people can pay for their custody and the other charges, we will have it in the market.
Okay, great. Is there anything else you'd like to add that we haven't already discussed on the show today?
No, I think we have covered most of it.
Okay, great. Well, this has been Digital Gold, Comtech RWA. Thank you for being here, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
All right. Have a good day.
Same to you. Bye-bye.